Former President Jacob Zuma has filed a response to the state's application to have the case postponed to 2021. Zuma and his co-accused French arms company Thales are expected in court on Tuesday in connection with fraud, racketeering and money laundering charges stemming from an arms deal negotiated by the South African government in the late 1990s. Zuma says through his lawyers, advocate Mabuza and advocate Muzi Sikhakhane, it appears to him that the NPA has backtracked on having parties not to appear before the court as the country is currently under lockdown. We're joined now by legal journalist Karyn on Skype, senior legal journalist. Hi, Karyn. Let's just start with this argument that is being advanced by the former president. It almost seems to suggest that the NPA is moving goalposts. Is that your understanding? And how would it work in whomever's favor?
Well, basically what happened is that in the normal course of events, this matter would not even be in court on the 23rd of June, which is Tuesday, because the courts have issued directives that because of COVID, postponements are negotiated between the parties and then the postponement is done in absentia. The conditions under which that postponement would be granted appear to be at odds between the state and the defense. Most pivotal, of course, is the former state president's contention that he wants to go on trial in October this year. We know the state is saying in correspondence that it does not believe that this matter will be certified as quote unquote trial ready until 2021. That remains one of the major issues. And then, of course, this ongoing unhappiness from the Zuma side, particularly from the former president, about the involvement of KwaZulu-Natal Judge President Ahmad Yapi in discussions with the state, which Zuma's lawyers say they should have been made aware of, but were not. And they have described those communications as improper and secret. So all of this has given rise to an impasse, which the state contends in a request for directives that was filed on Friday, would probably need to be decided in an open court. We know that all the parties have now headed to KZN. I know the state is going to KwaZulu-Natal tomorrow. Jacob Zuma's legal team driving to KZN today. So all of which has set the scene for a potential showdown in court if the parties are unable to resolve these various issues before Tuesday.
And Karyn, one of the things that the former president is arguing is he doesn't have much time as he is elderly. He also talks about his right to a speedy trial not being observed here. Would it compromise that right for a speedy trial should these arguments go back and forth? As you say, there's a showdown that seems to be looming. Is it plain delaying tactics?
Well, I think the state is going to have to make it clear to the court why it contends that this matter will not be trial ready. And that's particularly given that the state for a very long time, the shoe was very much on the other foot. There's been this constant narrative around the former president employing what have been described as Stalingrad tactics, using every legal mechanism available to him to avoid his day in court. The shoe now very much on the other foot, and the former president saying, well, I want my day in court, I want to go on trial in October. Why did you then contend that you'd be ready to put me on trial in April if that was not the case? And you know, this I think is going to be a matter of some debate, and it will be, the pressure will be on the NPA arguably to just say, look, this is why we believe there may be issues. They've previously suggested that the COVID pandemic may play a part in the preparedness of the state to go ahead with this trial. And those matters will have to be ventilated. It may well be a thing that needs to be decided by a judge ultimately, but certainly not something that's going to go away anytime soon.
There's this issue of the affidavit under oath. Zuma's lawyers arguing that the state, its application is defective because of that. Could you please take us through that? And also, if you can also just tell us what it is that they should reveal so that the former president's lawyers don't feel like, as they accuse the state of covering up its failures.
Well, essentially what happened is that the former president wrote to the judge, President Yapi, to say to him, listen, why have you been having these conversations, which we contend are secret and improper, with the state, when we had all the state, the defense, everyone had been having discussions about trial arrangements with the deputy judge president, Madondo. We want an explanation from you. We want to know what happened. As yet, as I understand, there hasn't been a letter from the judge president to the effect to respond to any of this. We don't know if he will indeed choose to do so. The big issue that was been raised now by the state in response to what this by the defense in response to what the state filed on Friday, which was this request for directives from the judge, President Yapi, was strictly speaking in relation to how does this matter proceed? Is it going to be heard in open court? And what is going to happen in terms of these complaints, the complaint raised by Zuma that he doesn't want the judge president involved in any way in these pre-trial arrangements because he fears that there's something untoward about this, that there's some kind of attempt to manipulate the bench in terms of who will hear this case. And then furthermore, how these matters of how the case will be decided and processed going forward. So this entire behind-the-scenes drama looks like it's going to be the subject of quite fierce debate when this matter returns to court on Tuesday. And of course, the argument by the defense is saying, well, Billy Downer, who's the lead prosecutor in this case, should have made an affidavit to this effect. He can't simply file this application for directives without making a sworn statement. And we don't feel that this is the appropriate way for the state to have brought this application, which is particularly considering we believe that, there are questions that the state and the judge president need to answer about these particular issues, which we don't feel have been adequately answered so far. So all a bit of a hot mess that the judge hearing this matter, Judge Pillay, is going to have to navigate through when and if this case goes to court on Tuesday.
And just a quick one, a reminder to our viewers about why it's important that former President Jacob Zuma has his day in court, including with the French arms company.
Well, this matter has been dragging on since 2003, which was, of course, when the former president's former financial advisor, Shabir Sheikh, was put on trial with corrupting him. He was, of course, convicted in 2005. Jacob Zuma has always maintained he should have been tried with him and said that was gravely unfair. But essentially, this state is unduly benefited from very much from corrupt payments, etc., from Sheikh in exchange for his largesse in assisting Sheikh with his business interests. And part of that was protecting Thales from a potential arms deal inquiry and receiving a 500,000 rand payment to do that. So this is about the spectre of the arms deal, which, of course, occurred in the 1990s and which Jacob Zuma is adamant needs to be brought into the light of day, and he is quite convinced that he will be able to show that it wasn't him who benefited from the arms deal, but indeed he contends that he'll show that in fact other people did so.
Thank you so much for your insights, senior legal journalist Karyn Maughan.